Hi, hello. So I've been trying to plan out a long video on Tokyo Revengers and the theories surrounding it that I've had, but
He takes that 5%.
the document I made became too long, and so we're splitting this up into a couple videos. We're gonna start with going over Iwakui's other manga. I'm gonna try and find the things that need to be talked about before branching off into other things. Yeah, but basically, my Google Docs got so full that I couldn't add much more to it, and then the document itself is so slow to go through that it's almost pointless to add more to it right now. So if you don't know, Tokyo Revengers is the story of Takemichi Hanagaki, who finds out his ex has been murdered, and then when he's pushed onto train tracks, he's sent back in time and he is determined to save her. That being said, I'll be spoiling a lot of the manga anime onlys, you've been warned. I'll also be spoiling a lot of Iwakui's other manga, Sekisei Inko. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, let me know in the comments below. I looked up how to pronounce that and I could not find it. Yeah, I finally had time to read Iwakui's other manga, which is 48 chapters. It wasn't too long, but it was very, very good. Besides the ending, the ending is something. When I read the comments that it was incomplete feeling, I didn't expect it to be as incomplete feeling as it actually was. But this isn't me reviewing the manga. This is me talking about how it pertains to Tokyo Revengers. That manga is about a boy named Seven, or Nana. Call him Seven because that's what I have been calling him most of the times in the notes, who suffers amnesia after finding his girlfriend dead. His girlfriend's name is Hiwa. Imagine if you just changed the W to an N. You see in the reason I'm connecting those? No? And he wants to figure out his past, and his memories have become a separate entity called memory. I'm saying entity weird. And that separate entity, memory, guides him through the world to find his memories. Both mangas have time travel elements. One has going back in time using handshakes, and the other has recovering memories via keys that you get through having genuine moments with another person, which parallels Tokyo Revengers. Because you can only go back in time with those handshakes if both people have a genuine want to go back in time. You could almost say that handshake is like a doorknob or opening a door, but basically it's using people's emotions to open the time space type thing, and both of them have that concept in it. So there's another parallel. We first have Hiwa and Hina, then we have the time elements throughout both of the stories. Moving on to Takemichi and Seven. This is where things are gonna get complicated because I'm gonna try and explain this, and there's a lot. We need to talk about Seven first, because any theory I want to make about Takemichi, it's gonna revolve around Seven and a lot of stuff from that manga. Spoilers incoming! Seven is immortal. You find out in the manga at some point that he is immortal, and he gained powers from, oh god, the guy who... The thing is, I know what happened to him because I looked it up to try and find connection through this. The name was taken from real life, and it's a Russian dude, I think, that was frozen underwater and died. He is immortal because of that person, and he gave blood to that person, and they made this immortality thing. I need to look at my notes for this. The Romanov secret technique. It's described as an undying body and blank memories. That is what Seven is. It gets very, I'm not gonna lie, it gets confusing towards the end. The last chapter is a huge thing, and I'm gonna bring this up a little bit later. It's a huge thing where you find out Seven isn't even Seven because his memories created him, and then that's where it ends. It's like, oh, the memory created him, so you don't even know what's exactly real or not. So the Romanov secret technique, he's an undying body and, blank memories or whatever, but he has his memories sealed away where he can access them to a degree, but not without the permission of that entity called memory, because his memories could destroy the world. So basically, he can't die. But it's been shown that he can lose consciousness because of blood loss or pain. Normal human conditions that would make you pass out or make you feel a lot of pain, he would experience that. He still feels the pain of being shot. He still feels like he's gonna go, but he just doesn't die. Now, moving over to Takemichi. We see him get hit over the head with a brick. We see him get shot 3 times. We see him fight Taiju. We see him fight Mikey, beat his face in. We see him like have all these things happen to him. He goes back in time before he dies every time. A lot of these things are life-threatening or should have killed him. And even people are like, you're gonna die, and it's like, he doesn't die. And there's one circumstance, I just thought of this when I was thinking of this video. In that, I think, Taiju fight, or the church one, everyone's like, you're gonna die, blah, blah, blah. And then he leaves that completely fine, debatably fine. But like, he doesn't go to a hospital or anything. Not that I remember. The time with Mikey, I'm gonna point something out that's probably just a it could be a mistranslation on this one. Even one of the translations I read said, I tried to kill you after shooting Takemichi 3 times. That's not trying to kill him, that's blatantly gonna kill him. Just because he's inching his way to help you up from the building doesn't mean that's not a deadly, you know, that's gonna kill him. Like, there's no way that would not kill someone unless they can't die. And I think it would be very interesting, it would be an interesting concept that Takemichi is saying, hey, I will not back down unless you kill me, and then he literally just can't die. So there's no way to get by him. Like, it's just not gonna happen. There's multiple ways that could be the case. So as it was said before, as I explained before, there's that Romanov secret technique of the undying body and bad memories, blah, blah, blah. At the time that was explained in the story, Seven was one of the only 2 people that had that. He was the only one where it was like a stable thing, and it was fine with him. But there was another person, Olga, who had an undying body, but she was having issues with it. We'll go over that later on, because that brings up a whole different can of worms, and I don't think we're gonna need that for this video. But at the end of the manga, like right before the end, we find out they had figured out how to make people immortal. They'd figured it out, and they'd made a couple people immortal. They'd made, you know, a couple other characters immortal at that point. Either Takemichi totally could have been made immortal by this company thing that, again, I don't know if I need to go over that very much for this video. He could be Seven, because first off, they look alike. There's the hiwa hina thing. There's other characters that blatantly parallel, which either Wakui did a copy-paste, which is possible. It's totally possible. Or it could be something like a parallel universe. It could be something like the story of the guy who was like a fisherman who went to this mermaid's palace under the sea, and then when he came back, everyone was dead. It's something like that. Kazutora actually brings that story up too, but Kazutora brings that up because he said that's how he felt when he got out of jail. In the the Bonten future. Bonten is based off of the god Brahma. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But that same god, there is a story, King Kadama, which I also hope I'm pronouncing right. I didn't think I'd be talking about this, so I didn't look these pronunciations up. But in that story, the king travels to the realm that the god is in. He has to wait to talk to him a little bit, like a couple minutes, right? But then when he finally could talk to the god, he finds out that those couple minutes in that universe has been hundreds of years in his, and, you know, everybody is, you know, because time flowed differently. It's time dilution or time dilation, or something. Basically, time is going differently in those 2 places. The fact that the god from that story is being mentioned in the Bonten timeline, and then that story, the folktale that has that same concept, is being mentioned in that timeline, and then also there's a couple other things that parallel. I lost my footage from the end of yesterday's video, and I fell down a hole today. I know I said yesterday I wasn't going to be explaining these things, but one of the things that's brought up in Wakui's other manga is ESP. There's a group called Phoenix, or PNX. There's a group that's called PNX, and they are looking into ESP, clairvoyance, and that's the same group that discovered eternal life. That's something that I caught on to because, you know, Takemichi and his seeing the future. Seven's dad, who actually isn't his dad, we find out later, spoiler alert, is in that group. Seven's group of friends found out about this group more by using one of their friends' father's information, and the friend's name was Kurikawa, which is Izana's name, right? Yes? Okay. There's also the connection of Phoenix, right? The name Phoenix. That is a Hanafuda card, and the other card is this, you know, the earring, Izana's earring. Phoenix is December, this is August. So there's a connection with that. August is the moon, December is Phoenix. So 2 brights are there. There's this panel that I saw on Twitter, of course. You see a Twitter panel, and after looking at that for a second, I noticed that I've seen that person before. I've definitely seen that person before, but not in Tokyo Revengers. I saw him right here. He's a Phoenix member who's supposed to look after 7.
I've connected the 2 dots.
You didn't connect shit, but
I've connected them.
Speaking of Twitter panels, there's another Twitter panel that's going around, and I want to go over that real quick. The one where it shows Takemichi being pushed onto the train tracks. We had gotten 2 different angles of that now. We have the angle of him being pushed and the angle of him just like falling over. We get it from like a side view. Now that we have the angle of him being pushed, people are speculating it wasn't Akon. We had like the little piece of that first timeline. So that first timeline may have a different person pushing us in that second one. My thought is it is past Takemichi. Because from what we've seen, like, listen, I'm gonna get real with you. Past Takemichi has done like nothing. Like the Takemichi we see his point of view, he has set goals, like a set, we know what he's doing. We know his priorities. It's very easy to see when you think about it, that the period of time where he's not there, those priorities just don't line up. Because when you see Takemichi go in the future, he's like, oh, where's Mikey? Wouldn't he have asked that? Like, wouldn't he, if he had the same priorities in that 12 years leading up to that point, wouldn't he have asked that at some point earlier? And how would he go through that whole Manila timeline and have not he didn't do anything while all of his friends are being murdered? In the current place we're in, there was that time, 2 years or so that went by. Past Takemichi didn't check on Mikey at all. And it's like, it's not Takemichi's job to look after Mikey. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the Takemichi whose point of view we see, his priorities seem to be that he wants to help Mikey, and he wants to help Hina, and he wants to help all these specific people. The actions of the past Takemichi that we don't see don't seem to line up with that. And there's actually a part in Sekisei Inko that has this same exact thing happen, and that is right at the end. It's right at the end. Spoilers for the end of Sekisei Inko. If you don't want to hear about it, click off for right now. At the end of Sekisei Inko, we find out that it has been memory all along. Peter, who is our like final boss dude, blah, blah, blah. Peter says to us, oh, who's watching from the sidelines as all of this tragedy happened? The way it's said lines up with past Takemichi so well. When you look at it, it lines up too well. I have a bigger theory if we're gonna connect the 2 manga, but I think I'm gonna save that for another video because it breaks down something that's really complicated and it took me a while to like actually understand. I will see you guys soon with the next part of this. Bye.